What is something really weird or unsettling that happens to you on a regular basis? Story 1. Every few weeks or so, I'll be sitting around and I take a breath, and there's a stabbing sort of pain around my chest area. Only when I take a breath past a certain point, though. After a few seconds, it goes away. Story 2. I always see flashing lights outside of my window. I live in the middle of nowhere. All around me are fields. No idea what it is. Answer: bored teenage aliens flashing their spaceship lights to fudge with you, or the CIA performing clandestine psychological experimentation on its own people. Maybe it's the fibers of the universe slowly losing their tension, revealing an alternate universe superimposed on our own. Is that what you wanted to hear? What you truly believe deep down in your heart of hearts? Story 3. A lot of young kids think I'm their father. I have one of those "haven't I seen you before" kind of generic faces, and I guess I look like everybody's dad. Answer: I want to reassure you. We are a white European family. When my boy was about 2 or 3, a door-to-door salesman came to our place to try to sell us a different telecommunication or electricity company. Can't remember which. He had quite dark skin, African in origin rather than Asian or Pacific Island. My son came to check out the visitor. "Hi, Dad," he yelled. The poor dude looked pretty worried. Kids that don't have enough contact with other men than their dad can end up thinking that the generic term for a man is dad. Story 4. A few times a day, I will think of something really fudge up and then panic because I will imagine someone near me can read thoughts, and now they think I'm weird or racist as fudge. Answer: I get this all the time when riding the bus. A chick walks on, and I think to myself something like, "Darn, she's hot. I hope she doesn't sit next to me because I'm awkward as fudge." Then I think, shoot, what if she can read my mind? She probably thinks I'm a perv because I want to rip her clothes off and nail her right here and... Wait, did that old Asian lady look disapprovingly at me? Shoot, what if she's the one reading my mind? I have to block her out of my brain. And anyone else who might be listening. And then I start mentally singing YMCA as loudly as I can in my head, so no psychic people will attempt to read my dirty, dirty mind. Story 5. I get hit on by old ladies all the time. When I was a server, a middle-aged lady stopped me as I walked by her table to tell me I had the most gorgeous hair she'd ever seen. Story 6. Once in a very great while, I'll slowly start to lose vision in one eye. A small blind spot will appear and grow bigger and bigger until my sight is seriously impaired. I'll get really dizzy too. After a few minutes, it will go away. My sight returns to normal, and I feel fine. I have no idea what causes it or why it happens. Story 7. I randomly get these moments where I become super focused for a few seconds. It feels like my lips swell up a bit and I become super aware of everything around me. It's like a natural high. It's fudge weird. Story 8. I have had the exact same dream over 300 to 400 times. It all starts at a campground with my sister, my old buddy, and one other person unknown. We are walking around the campground when we notice some chipmunks and start to follow them when we notice a tunnel going into the side of the mountain. So we decide to go in and we find a large circular room. In the back of the room there are some fake hills, the kind used as props on the stage at plays and such. So next thing I know, we are running and playing on the fake hills. Then we hear a train coming, and for some reason we all of a sudden know that if we miss the train, we will be stuck in there and not be able to get out till morning. So everyone is frantic and running for the opening so we can get on the train. Halfway to it, I notice one of my shoes are missing and I see it on the hills. So I turn around and make a run for my shoe as the others are yelling at me to hurry or I will miss it. After I grab my shoe and turn around only to notice the train and my people are gone. I get sad and wake up at that exact point every single time. Answer: shoot, I too get a repeated dream. I get this dream about once every year. It starts out kind of Slider-esque. These 4 people, 2 guys and 2 girls, always the same people, are trapped in this weird fudge-up world that makes no sense. They could enter a door in a house and emerge in a field and so on. They're trying to escape this world while they're being hunted by something. Usually, whatever is hunting them takes the form of a black, smoky cloud, and it sends out things that chase. Whatever is chasing them is whatever I'm currently occupied by. Example: last year's dream I got back into Skyrim, so they were being chased by Draugr. They find weapons, axes, swords, etc. they use to defend themselves. Every time they eliminate one of the creatures, a big rock falls out of them that cannot be moved. Eventually, the people figure out that by using the A weapon they're not familiar with, the rock will break open and a shard of glass will fall out. The glass is a map they have to assemble, which will lead them out of the world. Eventually, they start assembling the map more and more, but the creatures start showing up very infrequently. Eventually, they only need one more piece to escape, but the creatures no longer show up, no matter how long they wait. Then while moving, they'll always find a building, and they can hear creatures inside. They open the door, and it leads inside the building. Since it seems stable, the 2 guys decide to go in the building and get the last piece. They do so, but as soon as they find and eliminate one of the creatures, the door out starts to slowly close, so they run for the door. Eventually, they reach the door as soon as it closes, and I wake up. Story 9. Total strangers feel compelled to tell me their life story. I once went to pick up a form from a secretary in college, and I ended up trapped in there for an hour as she told me about everyone in her family who had died, people who recently became ill, and her brother's substances addiction. It's always too awkward to extract myself, and I end up just politely nodding or trying to figure out the correct facial expression to make during awkward parts of the story. Similar situations occur about once a month. Story 10. Positional vertigo. It hits at any time, and it feels like the room is spinning. Really messes with me when I drink. Answer: I have something similar called change of position vertigo, made up name. Basically, anytime I constantly change positions or walk back and forth from place to place, I get extremely dizzy and have to sit down until it wears off. An example from earlier today. Walk over to table to grab water bottle. Walk back to couch and sit down. Forget phone on table and go back to get it. Have to crouch and cool off because the room is spinning. Story 11. I have exploding head syndrome. It's freaky as hell when it happens while I'm trying to sleep. It hasn't happened for a long time, though, so that's a relief. Story 12. While driving at night, my vision isn't so great due to halos, as I like to call them, around lights, including the headlights of oncoming cars. I start to become panicky and feel as if I am going to crash. I try to avoid driving at night. Answer: go see an eye doctor. I had the same thing. They gave me low-script glasses. I'm somewhat nearsighted already, but I didn't notice it until I went to the eye doctor and tried on glasses. Then I started looking at lights with them on, and then off. Huge difference. Also, make sure your windshield is clean, both outside and inside your car, especially if you're a smoker. Clean both sides really well with Windex, and always check for streaks. Story 13. For as long as I can remember, I'm talking first ever memories, I have this anxiety about some particular texture rubbing up against my hands, and then I feel like I'm going to die. I know it sounds nuts, but the only way I can describe it is a déjà vu of a past life or something. I have been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, so I just chalk it up to that. It's so frustrating and happens probably once a month for my whole life. Answer: ye fudge gods. I have been trying to explain this forever. Everyone just looks at me like I'm mental, so I'm quiet about it now. Hot summer days, when it is whisper quiet, set me off too. So does a certain sound that I just can't seem to process, and so I don't remember. It always makes me feel like a memory is just out of reach, but that it's probably a good thing, as that memory is going to suck. My mother thinks that I may have seen my neighbor getting fed alive to pigs by his son, and that would cover all the things that set it off. But I would only have been about 2 when that happened, so I doubt it. Story 14. Precordial catch syndrome. It's when you get an extremely sharp pain on the left side of your chest every time you breathe. It can last from anywhere from a couple of seconds to half an hour for me. Story 15. A couple of times a month, I'll suffer a bout of sleep paralysis. For anyone else who has had it, it is frightening every single time. You're awake, you can't move, and I don't know this is common, but I can't breathe. The upside is, I've heard some people have hallucinations of phantoms or ghosts hovering over them while they have sleep paralysis. So at least I don't have that shoot version. It's terrifying enough without thinking there's a ghost in my room hovering above me. Answer: I used to undergo sleeping paralysis almost once every week for 2 ongoing years. To be honest, the first time it happened to me, I did not know what to make of it and was only paranoid. I envisioned a demon on my chest, so that didn't help being religious at the time. After researching, I became okay with sleeping paralysis and welcomed it because I was in control. I could make the demon vanish, control my breathing, and went into a trance state waiting patiently for it to be over. Obsessing over sleeping paralysis, I found out it triggers lucid dreaming and was able to freely imagine and conjure up anything from my wildest dreams. Before I knew it, I messed with my internal sleeping clock and underwent sleeping paralysis on purpose, just so I could lucid dream, because it was wonderful living in my perfect world. Eventually, with enough experience, I didn't need sleep paralysis and lucid dreamed whenever I wanted to. Sorry for the rant, just wanted to give my story with sleeping paralysis and how I overcame it. You can easily fix sleeping paralysis by taking no naps, maintaining a sleeping schedule, and reducing your stress. TLDR, lucid dreaming too good. Story 16. A large lump almost an inch long protrudes from below my ribcage when I sit in an odd position. It happens about once every 2 months or so. I just push it back in and go on ignoring it. Story 17. Well, not a regular basis, but it has happened twice so far, which is twice too many. My heart suddenly starts beating at about 220 BPM, and it just keeps doing this for several hours. On both occasions, I thought maybe I was having a heart attack or dying or something. I felt weak and dizzy and out of breath, so went to ER where they gave me an intravenous dose of adenosine, which momentarily stopped my heart. It started again right away at its normal rate. Felt really weird to have your heart rebooted. Story 18. I don't know if it's that regular, but sometimes I'll move my head, and it feels like a nerve or something in my neck up to the side of my head is burning. It's such a weird feeling, but a lot of people don't seem to know what I'm talking about. Story 19. Every so often when I drive, I imagine how me swerving drifting into oncoming traffic would play out. Worst part is that I'm aware of this being horrible, but without fail it gets stuck in my head. Answer: intrusive thoughts. Just listened to an interview the other day, NPR Fresh Air. Something stuck with me. This guy had OCD bad, always thinking he contracted HIV randomly, hundreds of times a day. Anyways, during therapy, he read all different types of crazy, intrusive thoughts. He assumed they were collected from other people who were in therapy for issues such as his. Not the case. These seemingly crazy thoughts were from normal people, whatever that may be. My mind was blown, thinking and acting drastically different. Story 20. I become unconscious and hallucinate on a regular basis. It's the strangest thing. It seems to happen every night. Story 21. I'll dream something then. It'll happen. Since I was like 6, my feet and hands turn purple when it's cold. I get the hiccups at least once a day. Every single time I stand up, I lose sight and everything goes white. I get lightheaded, and I have to grab something to hold myself up or sit back down. Answer: not kidding here. I dreamed about something really bad happening a few days before 911. Really weird. Things like this will happen from time to time. Obviously not like 911 or anything, but smaller stuff. Like I had a dream about a crazy guy setting up a bunch of traps and keeping a bunch of guns in the woods outside my house. A few weeks later, a guy was arrested for exactly that. He was part of like some cult thing preparing for the end of the world. Story 22. Every once in a while, especially when I'm tired, a really strange statement comes vividly, almost as if it's text into my head. Something ridiculous like 1 in 4 walruses have teeth. And then I sit there thinking, what the fudge, for a minute. Story 23. For the past few weeks, people in my dreams keep saying "I'll at random times. That's disturbing as fudge. Story 24. I always get random knocks on my door from maintenance workers in my new apartment. They stop by at least once a month. I try to ignore it as much as possible. Story 25. For me, it would be my blackouts. That's what I call them. I don't literally faint, but my vision just goes hazy. I lose all strength in my body and just stumble to a sitting or lying down position. They happen about once a week and only last about 10 seconds. I don't know if this is normal, but I find it weird. I don't have any mental conditions or anything, and I have no idea why it happens. It just does. Story 26. When I have been sitting for a while and then stand up, I get horrible head spins and I often feel like I will faint. Afterwards, I always feel really unsure as to how long I've been in that state, and it feels like I lost consciousness. Story 27. Migraines suck. My vision blacks out for a minute or so. Deja vu. I have a dream. Then, a while later, it comes true. If I wake up abruptly, it takes me a while to remember my name. Story 28. Whenever I learn a new word that I've never heard of before, that word will always appear in my daily life for a few weeks, like in conversations, newspaper articles, and books. Been creeping me out since I was a kid. Story 29. I've never been able to describe this well enough for anyone to know what I'm talking about. Every month or two, I'll randomly have a weird feeling wash over me, like my head gets fuzzy and I feel like I'm going on autopilot. Everything feels less real for a few minutes. I'll also have vivid flashbacks to other times it's happened during the whole thing, going back to when I was a child. Story 30. I'll be doing something and I'll suddenly be somewhere else. At least 50 feet of separation between me and where I was. I don't know what the heck it is. It's not just me being absent-minded as I'll blink a few times before it happens, and it's almost like it happens between blinks, like the world changes while I'm in this state of confusion that lasts anywhere from a second to 6 seconds. It's extremely disturbing. I'll be reading something and words will change on the page as I read them. I'll remember events and news articles, and they won't exist when I just bookmarked the article or saved a picture from it. I think I'm going crazy, but when I went to the hospital to investigate, the psychiatrist said I exhibited no signs of psychosis, delusions, or schizophrenia apparent to him. I had an MRI of my brain, and there is nothing physically wrong with my brain. No bleeding, no swelling, no cancer. At most, the psychiatrist said I had clinical depression and social anxiety. I'm apparently not crazy and not sick with something serious. Just depression and anxiety. I'm sorry, but depression and anxiety shouldn't make reality melt and shift at the slightest of whims. I don't know. If I'll wake up tomorrow morning and the bedroom door will have on the right side of the room instead of the left side, and the room will be white instead of wallpapered. I don't see monsters. I don't feel spiders all over me, or think I'm something I'm not, or think people are alien lizard clowns from outer space. But something keeps changing for me. Reality seems to be subtlety shifting on at least an hourly basis, and I notice it. I sincerely wish that I have some sort of cancer, because if there is nothing wrong with me, then this constantly shifting reality is real. I refuse to accept that. There has to be something wrong with me. How can one accept reality when the past keeps changing? Walls move when you are not looking, and doors appear where there was none before. People pop into existence and act like you've known them for years, but you haven't the faintest clue who they are. How can I be okay with that and think I'm not crazy? I have to be, but the doctors all say I'm fine. No need for meds or treatment, I'm normal. Aside from the anxiety and depression, of course. I'm not insane. Not yet, at least, but this will drive me insane. I'd give every possession I have for this all to be a dream and I'm in some hospital somewhere in a coma. Or this is all a dream. Anything would be better than this. Even passing. At least if this is hell, I could rationalize it. I must find a way to rationalize this. Answer. Sounds like short fugue states. If I remember correctly, it can be linked with multiple personality disorder, or whatever the DSM calls it now, which may explain why it's been overlooked by doctors. Multiple personality disorder is quite rare. Essentially, it's much the same as how, when we blink, our brain temporarily shuts off our optic input, so we see a stable picture as opposed to blackness every few seconds as we blink. Closing the eyes purposefully doesn't produce this effect. Try it out. For whatever reason, in a fugue state, your brain has basically turned off your memory for a period of time before restoring it, leading to an apparently seamless blink. Story 31. I get called Steve. A lot. People who have been introduced to me but never told my name will start addressing me as Steve. People who have been introduced to me and are actually told my name will still probably call me as Steve. People who have worked with me for 5 years will call me Steve. My name isn't remotely close to Steve, but it's always Steve. Never ever once has someone in person called me a wrong name that wasn't Steve. Story 32. I keep seeing the numbers 333 at least 4 times a day. Don't know if the devil's brother-in-law is gonna strike me down soon or something. Story 33. Pinching a nerve in the back of my neck. It's happened for as long as I can remember, but it's gotten more frequent. It's always when I turn my head to the right, I feel a sudden painful pinch underneath my skull on the left side. My head automatically snaps back to face forward when this happens. It gets really warm and tingly, and it hurts. Sometimes it hurts worse than others. Probably happens to me like once a week. Story 34. Not so unsettling, but babies will always stare at me. No matter where I am, if I see one, it will automatically start staring. Story 35. Sometimes I play with a screwdriver or something, Then I stand it up on a table and start thinking how easy it would be to have an accident and fall on the thing and get it in my eye. Whenever that happens, it starts to freak me out and I slowly put the thing away where I can't get hurt by it. Story 36. When someone texts me with either the phrase, "We need to talk," or "I need to talk to you about something," doesn't matter what it is, I always get a nervous stomach waiting for the reply. It is usually always pretty innocuous. Story 37. Every time I look at the clock at night, it's somehow 9:11 p.m. It just happens. I don't know why. It's become part of my routine. Story 38. The clattering on the roof and sometimes the back porch. I know it's just raccoons or possums, or maybe even one of the old feral cats coming back for a visit. But it freaks me out. The sound of footsteps in the backyard always gets me as well. In the summer, it's probably a deer, squirrel, fox, or coyote. Coyotes actually scare me since they have to be somewhat bold and maybe mean to be in our area during the summer. In the winter, it's probably a bear. Bears sound like people when they walk through leaf-covered ground. It's so creepy. Story 39. I have a lot of sleep problems, so every once in a while when someone wakes me up, I'll cuss them out and try to attack them really quickly from a laying down position, then go back to sleep and remember nothing. Like I'll be asleep on the couch. I take what sleep I can get. I have a lot of problems. My mother will come in and try to wake me up for dinner or something, and I'll yell, "Shoot fudge, darn nigger, shoot the fudge," while also punching her in the face. I made her bleed once. It was horrible, and now nobody wakes me up within arm's reach of me, and I can't blame them. And all I remember about any of these incidents is waking up to a whole lot of people angry at me. This only happens to me if I've been asleep for less than 3 hours, after a time where I haven't slept for 24 hours or so. But that's pretty much once a week for me, because I have such a hard time sleeping. It's always funny in retrospect, though, and people don't ever believe me until they experience it. Any kind of camping is always fun. I woke up half a campground once. Story 40. I lose sensation in my face, feeling like my teeth are numb and fuzzy. Then it feels like spiders are spinning silk all over the inside of my mouth, or like it's coated with oil. If I'm chewing something,